Hit us with that spoiler cast theme song.
John Wick.
You switched it up on us there.
I know.
Is that
I Shyamalan you.
Okay, that's recording.
We will talk about both of Lego Batman and John Wick 2. However, let's start with Lego Batman as we kind of go into some spoilers and do that quickly because I don't think there's a lot there to spoil. Like I said, the plot is pretty simple. By the way, welcome to the spoiler cast. If you haven't heard the first part of this, it exists in the Siftpop podcast proper, where we actually do our reviews of the movie. Here, we're just going to kind of touch on some different spoilers that we couldn't in the podcast to have some further discussion. The plot's pretty simple. Batman learns that he needs help, and that help comes from Barbara Gordon, comes from Dick Grayson, comes from Alfred, and eventually comes from all the Batman villains somehow.
Yeah, he learns that he needs to let people in and accept that there's more outside of himself.
Yeah,
because he also lets the Joker in.
That's right, and that's kind of the primary plot device, is that the Joker is upset that Batman won't call him his greatest enemy.
Or say that he hates him.
And that was some of the funny Joker stuff that I was talking about, were those moments where they were talking about, where it was obvious they were a couple.
I like
to fight around.
Yeah, I like to fight around.
That
that
sad
kind of
Joker face
was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, they keep adding the little white dots to make it more
that puppy dog face.
So I almost,
and that's what I was
myself.
talking about when I said that the funny stuff that the Joker did was all on the animator.
Yeah.
Besides the worth a Google line. Probably worth a Google.
Talking about the Batman villains.
Yeah. Condiment Man and
I agree.
Or Condiment King. Sorry,
I agree mostly because the writing was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the delivery that Jack Galifianakis.
That's his lesser known
funny
brother.
Yeah, that Zach Galifianakis.
Jack Galifianakis.
Gave. Which I didn't know that's who that was until you guys mentioned it earlier.
Oh, yeah. That's who that be.
So the Joker's plot is to go to the Phantom Zone and get all of the bad guys who are stored in the Phantom Zone, which apparently stores bad guys from other properties.
Yeah, the baddest of the bad.
Godzilla, the Raptors.
Nope, that was the Kraken.
Sorry.
That was the Kraken.
The Kraken.
King Kong.
The Raptors from Jurassic Park.
Or at least one raptor.
Okay, I want to talk about one of the villains real quick.
Uh-huh.
You have Ray Fiennes in this movie.
Yes.
He's voicing Alfred.
Yes.
And you don't cast him to play Voldemort?
You can't have him do both?
You can't have him do both? They had Eddie Izzard doing the voice for Voldemort.
Oh, that's funny.
But it just drove me
what
crazy.
What if it's a contractual thing?
I don't know. I mean,
see, that's what I'm talking about.
You got the rights for Voldemort, though.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have the rights for, Ray Fiennes' voice as Voldemort. It's just rights can be so tricky.
Rights are so weird, man.
Like, for instance,
that has to be it, right?
You can show a Dalek, but you can't say Dalek because they own the term.
Exterminate.
So I think the Daleks are technically in. Have they gone into public domain yet?
I don't know, but there has to be a reason they never said Dalek. They said British
robot,
British evil robot,
which they're technically not robots.
Yeah. No, that's true. Good point. They're exoskeleton suits or whatever.
For like weird squiddy monster babies.
Yeah, they're mech suits.
But getting back to plot proper.
Yeah.
So after Batman has this little verbal banter with the Joker about how he doesn't find him to be his greatest villain, arch
essentially
nemesis,
like a breakup fight.
He just broke up with the Joker right there. He then goes home and we realize that Batman, this is what I was talking about, how they really captured what Batman is, how lonely he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie was about his loneliness.
Yeah.
Can I just want to say I loved the microwave scene. Who here has not done that? Accidentally put in the extra zero.
Yeah.
And then just
not 20 minutes.
Sat there like waiting for your food.
Just staring at it.
Because you want that food and you know you don't have enough time to go do anything else.
What was it that he was eating? Lobster?
Thermidor.
That's what it was. Lobster Thermidor, my favorite. And then he's just eating it in a pool along with all of his aquatic Batmobiles.
It looked like he had the whole like it was a plate with the lobster on a fork.
Yeah.
And he was just eating that whole thing.
Yeah. then he watches rom-coms. He watches what was the one? Was that Tobey Maguire?
Jerry
Maguire.
No, not Tobey
Maguire.
Wait, is
for
that
all I know, Tobey Maguire was
singer?
For all I know, Tobey Maguire was.
Tobey Maguire's an actor, but
he's the guy who plays Spider-Man.
He played Spider-Man originally, but
then who am I thinking of that is a country?
Toby Keith.
There's not a Maguire somewhere. I feel like there's a. Maguire.
There's a Jerry Maguire the movie.
There's
a Mark Maguire the baseball player.
There's so many Maguires.
Yeah. Okay, so he was watching Jerry Maguire. You had me at hello.
Yeah.
And they laugh. He is like, ha, 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 ha. And,
his laugh is priceless.
Yeah. So then Bruce Wayne goes to a police event where Commissioner Gordon is retiring and his daughter is taking over. Barbara is going to be the new police commissioner, voiced by Rosario Dawson. Mm-hmm. Which it's funny seeing her in a DC property as opposed to a Marvel property.
Right.
But, yeah, so
she's top of her class in Harvard for police.
That was one of the funniest jokes I've heard in a really long time. That may
Cleaning
be the funniest
up the streets with statistics.
Harvard for police, and the fact that it actually said on her shirt, Harvard for police.
She even later says, I learned at Harvard for police.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's on the name of the place. They weren't.
That wasn't like a. Okay, Aaron, you're gonna have to finish because
it's fine. Laugh as much as you want.
Man,
we could do that. We could just. Were there other jokes that stood out to you now that we're in spoilers that you want to re-mention as ones that made you guys laugh?
Yes, there was. Oh God! So Dick Grayson is an orphan in this, and he shows up and he's talking to Bruce Wayne because he's the greatest orphan of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he goes up, he's like, I need to introduce myself to Bruce Wayne. And he said, hi, my name's Grayson. Oh. And he's not paying attention because Bruce Wayne is infatuated at this point by Barbara Gordon, while it wasn't Tears for Fears that was playing, it was
I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight.
In Your Arms Tonight by who sings that?
I don't know that I've ever known the name of that.
I'm not the one to ask, that's for sure.
I know who sings it because it's on my iTunes, but anyway. So he has that song playing in his head, so he's not paying attention. And Richard Grayson says, my name's Richard, but people call me Dick. And
kids can be cruel.
Kids can be cruel.
That was the most crass joke in it.
It was the one joke that I was like, some parents may have a little issue with that. But
kids can be cruel.
That was priceless, though. Oh, they danced that line so well.
I don't know that they really danced it any other place though. Like as far as like the borderline of kind of crassness, but
the one time they go there though, they were dead on.
Yeah,
right, head of the nail.
Okay, by the way, say this as a con. Some of the jokes seemed a little too forced in this movie. Not to jump too far ahead, but the beatboxing in the jail cell thing, I just felt unnecessary.
It didn't hit right.
Yeah, it just didn't. It felt out of place.
There was
That's
one
jumping
joke
way in the future there.
Well, I mean, like I said, the plot isn't all that complicated. There's battles between
There were some scenes where they, like the beatboxing scene, where they clearly wanted to do something and it just didn't quite land.
There was a joke that landed really well, I thought, until later on they kind of pulled it back, which was I thought a Suicide Squad joke where he was like, she was like, well, why don't you use all these, bad guys to fight with you?
Idea.
He was like, that's a terrible
idea. That's a Suicide Squad joke.
I thought it was a Suicide Squad joke. I thought it was hilarious, but then later on it happened, and I was like, well, because later on they do release all them to work with him. And I'm like, well, you just kind of pulled the rug out from under that joke because, was he just saying, was the joke that it's a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway down the road?
I mean, that's what Suicide Squad did.
Yeah,
so,
I think it was definitely a Suicide Squad joke.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways.
They emphasized that line too much for it not to have been a joke at their own expense.
Yeah. Whenever it's a joke like that and then it cuts away to another scene, it's a pun. Or it's a
punchline.
It's a quickie remark to something that's happened. So the Joker, having been broken up with by Batman, essentially decides, I need to get Batman's attention. I need to pull off the greatest villainous act of all time. I'm going to break into the Phantom Zone, which is where Superman puts all of his greatest, and not only his greatest enemies, but
The greatest villains.
The greatest villains of all time get sent to the Phantom Zone.
Speaking of Agent Smith.
Yes.
There was three of them in there.
Yeah, love that. That was great.
Yeah, there were some fun little references in there.
So the Joker decides, I'm going to get myself thrown into the Phantom Zone. So he breaks into this gala event that Bruce Wayne has, unbeknownst to him, but he's adopted Dick Grayson.
On accident.
On accident, because Dick Grayson's talking to him that whole time that he's infatuated with Barbara Gordon. He's like, would you adopt me? Yeah, sure. So he just adopts him right there without
Pretty
him
sure there's more paperwork to it.
Yeah.
But
Not in this world.
Yeah, it's
Lego world.
It's Lego world. So, anywho, the Joker breaks into the gala event and says, I surrender, send me to prison.
and the rest
him
of...
and the... Well, the rest of the villains like Bane and Riddler and Catwoman and Poison Ivy, they don't know that that's what they're breaking in for. So they go there thinking that they're going to pull off this evil plot. Turns out that the Joker just gives them up.
Right.
And that's whenever they become on Batman's side later on because they got thrown into prison.
Harley Quinn was the only one in on it, right? Like she was the one that set it up.
She didn't even get caught either.
Yeah.
Right.
Phantom's Own Laundry.
It was a subsidiary of Quinzel Cleaning.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you noticed that or not.
So, oh man. So Batman and Barbara Gordon know that the Joker's up to something. Batman takes it upon himself to send the Joker to the Phantom Zone
By stealing the Phantom Zone projector from Superman.
From Superman, which was that scene right there. Well, it seemed out of place. I thought was actually really necessary to show that, yeah, Batman, he is lonely. When you think, well, he's got the Justice League. The Justice League doesn't even want to hang out with him. And he's one of the founders of the Justice League.
They're all having the anniversary
The 57th
party.
anniversary
of the
Justice League, yeah.
And he wasn't invited. And then they had the great Green Lantern joke, like, I don't get Superman's emails sometimes for years. See?
I didn't quite get that one.
Because in the Lego movie, the real Lego movie, Superman cannot stand Green Lantern.
Yeah, Green Lantern's always trying to be like a hanger-on.
Yeah, he's like the annoying friend, like, hey, let's hang out.
I guess
like,
I just forgot that.
Yeah.
I thought the Robin stuff in that scene was the best, though.
Oh, yeah, where you find out that Dick Grayson's actually like... Or are you talking about how Batman's realizing I can connect with somebody?
Well, I just feel like him doing exactly what Batman was telling him to do, and I just thought that was played really well, and the idea that Batman was basically using him as a pawn and didn't really care about his life, you know.
You are 110% expendable.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what that means, but sure.
I thought that was a great performance. So yeah, so they he gets the Phantom Zone thing, you know, sends Joker to the Phantom Zone, which is what he wanted because he wanted to get out of the Phantom Zone. So he gets everybody out of the Phantom Zone, and then it's, you know, the big fight to get everybody back in, which Batman tries to do by himself, but fails. And so then everybody else comes to his rescue.
Another great joke is whenever he starts yelling at his robot, and the robot acts like a sad dog that just gets hushed away.
Was there anything else, spoiler-wise, you wanted to bring up in Lego Movie before we move on to John Wick 2?
I thought it was great that you were talking about in Podcast Proper that you understand why they did the whole Batman realizing that he needs people in his life and that he needs to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically the end of the movie is he gets sent to the Phantom Zone and he says, what was it? The brick?
Phyllis.
Phyllis, yeah. Phyllis, who is the pretty much the warden of the Phantom Zone, says, I will let you leave the Phantom Zone to get all of the villains back here. The only thing is you have to stay because you're a terrible person.
Voiced by Ellie Kemper, right? From Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's who that was. So he is on his way back to the Phantom Zone, and then Phyllis says, nope, you get to stay because you became a good person all of a sudden. And then he finally tells the Joker, I hate you.
Aww, that's all he ever wanted.
I do just want to give a mention to that, like whenever they save the town by connecting, which is, that click, the sudden just like snap, I just lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, just something about that was just Perfect.
Well, the whole thing was ridiculous too, as if somehow they could
work on your core.
Yeah, they could join hands and pull it together.
Yeah,
somehow.
It's a metaphor for coming together.
Yes, which is what the Legos are about.
Honestly, I do think it is true in the comic books. Batman has never told the Joker he's hated him. I think that is true.
Oh, interesting.
I think that is true. He's never told the Joker.
Does he tell other people he hates them?
No.
Well, then that's probably pretty normal.
What's his name? Ice. What's his name? Or Frost? Well, the guy who killed his parents. I do think.
The guy who killed his parents in Crime Alley.
It's like Ice, Frost, or Cold. What's his name?
Mr. Freeze?
No. I could have told you now before you...
Google! It's not important, but I'm going to look it up because it's one of those
We'll wait for you.
Who killed...
It was a nice name, though.
Batman's parents. It's Joe Chill.
Joe Chill. That's it.
Yeah, Joe Chill killed his parents. And
in Crime Alley.
Yeah. I think that's the only time Batman's ever said he's hated somebody.
Is Joe Chill?
Joe Chill. Yeah.
Very nice.
That adds up.
Well, before we go on to John Wick 2, I will give you the most important piece of information that we did not get to in that I Died in Your Arms Tonight was Cutting Crew.
Cutting Crew, thank you so much.
Crew. So now we can move on.
Yeah. See? Yep, never knew that.
I knew that.
John Wick 2. Let's do some spoilers. John Wick Chapter 2. Because it's a book.
Yes.
Let's talk some spoilers on that. I don't know how in depth we want to go on the plot of it. Basically, he is forced to go kill the sister of our kind of main bad guy because he wants to be on the
council,
some sort of council,
the high table.
Yeah, the high table.
Which, as far as I can tell, the people who have a seat on it are the heads of major organized crime organizations.
Yeah.
Because the Camorra is a big deal. They're like the super mob.
Yeah.
And they mentioned the Yakuza, I think, once.
Well, basically in this world, everybody is an assassin. So
yeah.
Okay, you want to talk about that just real quick?
Sure.
Every single person in the world apparently
is part of
an
this
assassin.
Shadowy assassin organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, earlier when we were talking about it, and I was talking about the world building. The world building is exciting. The world is interesting and intricate. I do not like how far they overplayed that hand.
Yeah.
On look at how many assassins we have. Any hobo on the street could be one.
It was kind of like their way of providing John Wick with an endless supply of people to kill. It was just they were everywhere, and when they were chasing him, so let's go a little more in depth. So he has to go do this thing where he kills this woman. He doesn't want to do it, but he's bound by blood oath to do it through this amulet thing that he has given to this guy. A marker that he gave to this guy so he could get out. And they don't really explain why that let him get out.
Well, he was given an impossible task
in the first movie. They talked about.
So it's kind of heavily implied that he came to this guy to get that task done.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably went to this guy who had ties to the Camorra and was like, I need to do this. And the guy was like, okay, I'll do this for you, but I need a favor at some point.
Got it. Okay, so that's where he got the marker. And then so he goes to kill this guy's sister, doesn't want to do it. She actually ends up committing suicide because she wants to go out her own way.
Which, I mean, she's dead, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Right, and he of course, shoots her in the head because that's what he does with everybody.
Gotta make sure, man.
Gotta make sure afterwards. And so he's fulfilled, but now that he's fulfilled that, his main goal is to go back and kill this guy too, so he doesn't get on the seat. And also that guy's main goal is to go ahead and take him out.
Well, he was just going to leave.
But the guy burns him.
Yeah, he gets burned by the guy who hired him to kill his sister.
Because the guy said no loose ends.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And Ruby Rose is like his henchman, and she's sending all of her goons into the catacombs.
Which that whole sequence is awesome.
Scene was great.
There are several incredible action scenes. I don't think that, I don't know if there's any spoilers there other than, moments where
he doesn't die.
The entire crowd is like, oh, or oh, or what?
So
those a couple times.
There's somebody out there who is equally as talented at fighting as John Wick, who's played by Common. I don't remember that character's
almost
name.
As equally.
Yeah, almost.
He's another super high class assassin.
Yeah, and he was actually
not just some sort of common killer.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah,
a little bit of a
the woman that
Common,
he was.
the actor is-
I see what you did there.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Thanks.
So Common was actually a ward of the woman that John Wick was sent to kill.
Other way around.
Or,
She was his
his.
ward.
Yeah, she was. I'm sorry. Yeah,
And they heavily imply that they were intimate.
yeah. So, I actually didn't get that. I thought it was just like it's a blood oath. I am bound now to this
that-
person.
Yeah, there
moment
was-
when she sends him away and
Yeah,
she's
there's
like,
a
what would
love
I do without
connection.
you?
Yeah.
She's kind of looking at him longingly. And he says, my ward, someone I was close to.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there.
yeah,
of some sort.
they're either they were very good friends or they were specifically intimate.
Okay. But anyway, so now John Wick is being hunted by Common's character. And I'm going to jump ahead here because I can't wait any longer to talk about this scene. There's a scene where they're in a subway and Common is on this upper balcony and they are walking parallel to each other. They both have pistols with silencers. In a crowded subway, they're taking pop shots at each other without alerting anybody around them as to what's going on. It is one of the most amazing scenes ever.
I just want to say, though, for everything that they do well with guns, silencers are not magic.
No, they do not silence at all.
Yeah, if you're looking for realism in some aspects of this movie,
Yeah.
you're going to be sorely disappointed.
But the kind of like the sneaky shooting was very.
I've
it
never
was
seen anything
comical,
like
kind
that.
of?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
It was
And
funny
that
in a way.
bears mentioning. We didn't talk about it in the show proper. This movie is kind of comical in some ways. I think some of the stuff is meant to be funny.
Yeah.
There's
like self-aware of the action.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So now that John Wick, quote unquote, completed his task, the girl was killed, even though she kind of killed herself.
She's dead.
She's dead. The guy who hired him, as Jarrah says, burns him. No loose ends. So now he is put out a
Which was
bounty.
the worst idea.
Yeah, the dumbest thing ever.
He knows this guy.
Yeah. So he puts a bounty of $7 million on John Wick's head, and John Wick's killing every other assassin in the world in this full-on...
Which every street performer ever is apparently an assassin.
If you're a street
Every
performer,
person.
Or a panhandler of any
a
sort.
panhandler, or a sumo wrestler,
Yeah, we didn't mention Lawrence Fishburne is in this as well.
Morpheus and Neo back
yeah,
together.
Morpheus and Neo back together, but not very long. He just has a moment where
Quick cameo.
he has to go to him and get his help in going after this guy.
You wanted to talk about the 7 rounds?
Yeah. He goes to this guy whose name I don't even know. He's like the king of beggars, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he controls all of the assassins.
Right.
With
who are
Lawrence
also
Fishburne's
beggar.
character, yeah.
Yeah. And he has had a run-in with him in the past that was negative. He almost killed him, but he gave him a choice. So Lawrence Fishburne is kind of like, I'm probably going to kill you. $7 million is a lot of money. He's like, listen, this guy's a bad news for you. Let me kill him. Just give me a gun. So the guy gives him a gun with really good bullets and a good gun. It's just he only has 7 bullets, and they specifically state it. And then, I thought he was maybe going to ration them out.
Right,
But they
that
get
was
to that
kinda
moment.
cool.
But he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last guy takes 2 shots. And then he immediately starts going for someone else's gun.
Yeah.
But they're very specific. Like I was counting them as soon as they were 7 shots. I was like, okay. And I had trouble counting some of them.
Well, you need 2 hands once you get over 5. So
he dumped those bullets out real quick is the thing.
Yeah.
Well, and that was kind of a cool surprise too, because you do think when they set that up, they're saying, okay,
He's
you've
saving
got 7
that.
shots. Yeah, you're going to think, okay, every shot is going to count, and I mean, it did, but it happened so quickly that you just weren't expecting it.
Yeah, he
He
did
was
it.
using that gun
To get
in
other
order to get
guns.
somebody else's
Yeah,
gun.
exactly.
Gotta
In
spin
order to
bullets.
get somebody else's gun.
Spin bullets to make bullets.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Which they do something weird, and I think this is a con, and I didn't want to mention it before because it's sort of spoilery. Not really. It's not super important.
Go for
but
it.
anyway,
doesn't matter now.
so he's clearly going for guns. Throughout that whole sequence, that tower attack on the art museum, his focus is maintaining his ammo levels. But then they send in those enforcer guys towards the end who have SMGs. Clearly superior firepower. and he downs several of them and never takes one of those SMGs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
I didn't notice that.
To one point, he runs out of ammo fighting one of them, and then leaves his SMG on the floor and goes to fight Ares, I think is Ruby Rose's character's name.
Yeah.
Without a gun.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then whenever she fought him, she had a gun.
She went with the punch dagger.
Yeah, which I didn't get. Okay, here's another thing. Here's a big con of this movie, and I had to wait until spoilers to talk about it. John Wick in this movie kills about 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is an absurd kill count.
Yeah.
But it's an action movie.
So
kill
he
count.
kills a bunch of people. But then the people who are the biggest threat to him, I'm talking about Common and Ruby Rose's character. You say her name was Ares?
Ares, I think.
He doesn't kill them.
Yeah.
Why do you...
I'm fairly certain she dies.
Really?
They
Because he
linger
said,
on her
I'll see you later, and he says, sure.
Well,
Yeah, but then her head
kind of
and
tilts and she stops blinking for a second.
Oh.
So I thought that was kind of a joke.
I think they left it open in case they wanted to use her again, but I think she was supposed to. I think we're supposed to believe she died.
So Common, we know, is alive.
Mm-hmm.
But he never wanted to kill him.
No,
to begin with.
he and Common have been like. I got the impression that they were kind of like friends who understood the rules of their world.
Yeah.
But
Common had to kill him because
He is bound.
He's bound, and he killed somebody that was important to him. And John Wick knew that if he didn't incapacitate Common, which Common very could have easily died anyway, he has a knife in his aorta.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 out of 10 times, that's a dead man.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out that we're having this conversation about almost killing someone with a knife, and Andrew decides to pull out his knife and open it up. I just got really nervous. I just got really nervous here all of a sudden.
I had a splinter and I had to get it out. It hurt.
Which I would just like to point out the insane precision to, in the middle of a fight like that,
To get the aorta.
to get that specific of a slice on the aorta that will not just instantly kill it. Well,
Right.
that will not certainly kill him.
Yeah.
And he did the same thing to Lawrence Fishburne's characters to the neck, which granted
the
that was a
jugular.
sneak attack. But
Yeah.
So
The biggest thing in the... Oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to finish up the plot so we could talk about other things we wanted to talk about, which is basically he then goes back to, and there are these protected grounds where
the Continental, same as in one,
that you can't kill people in. Goes in, and the guy is there and knows he's safe, but John Wick decides to kill him anyway in the Continental, which means now that John Wick is banished, and that
Excommunicado.
for Chapter 3, he's going to be going against the entire Camorra with no resources.
Right? Yeah, everyone is his enemy at that point. So, and that's kind of how the movie ends.
Yeah.
So what are some things? I have 2 specific things that I want to get to, but go ahead, Andrew. It seems like you were going somewhere. So
Also, what I was going to say, I was going to finish up. He decides to kill the guy on the Continental. They didn't kill the dog in this movie.
No. That
So-
would have been, and I'm glad. I mean, that would have been a little weird for them
They
to do
did
that
blow up
twice
his
in a row.
house. I was very excited whenever the dog showed up after that, though.
Yeah, he just comes up and licks his
I
face.
was like, no, his dog also.
Yeah.
The dog was, I guess, outside.
Yeah.
One of my things is a silly continuity thing that I didn't understand. The other thing is the big plot hole that I talked about in the main movie, which is more of a motivation hole than a plot hole, I think. But which do you want me to go with first?
The
serious
silly
thing?
continuity thing.
The silly continuity thing is at the beginning. The opening scene is him going and getting his car, which we didn't really talk about, but it deals with
this film takes place 5 days after the first movie ends.
Right.
Okay.
So he's going to this guy who we know from the other movie was the uncle, I think, of the kid that killed his dog and stole his car.
Yeah.
And to get his car back.
I had assumed he'd already gotten it back.
No,
it was there.
I thought John Leguizamo had his car.
No,
he gave it to John Leguizamo after he got it back, after it was all destroyed.
Because in the first movie,
well, because the kid steals it, and
he takes it to John Leguizamo, and then John Leguizamo's like, "Get that car out of my shop
I
now."
I don't know why, but I was thinking that John Leguizamo kept the car and gave it back to John right away.
No, because
he said, "No, get it out of here," and the guy takes it somewhere else.
Anyhow,
Yeah, sorry.
No. What I'm getting to is he says something to, I think, his bodyguard or somebody who's in the room with him while he is listening to John Wick like kill all his men and try to get his car back. He says, "This dude killed 3 people in a bar with a pencil." Pencil. Who does that? Yeah. And then that happens later in the movie.
2 guys.
No, it was 3. He killed, and it was at a bar. And I'm going, wait a second, was he talking about that? Like,
no, he just did it again. He just did it again.
It was definitely 2 guys. He stabbed the first guy in the neck and he went down. But that same guy got back up, and that's the same guy he impaled on the back of the head.
Yeah.
I just remember the pencil in the ear.
No,
that was the worst. Like, that was the biggest reaction in the theater, the whole movie, the pencil in the ear.
What that was is they've been talking about how he's killed people with a pencil in both movies now. They were finally showing you, this is how this guy can kill you with a pencil. That's all that was.
It was weird to me that it was in a bar It
was more like in a mall kiosk, like it looked like an internet cafe more than anything.
Yeah, it looked like one of those...
Like an iPod, Apple store.
Anyways, that one is not a big deal to me. It would just, my brain kind of went, blah, blah, what? Like, are they going to say, like, I was trying to figure out, like, some weird time thing happened?
No, it was just a visual representation.
They
like,
did do
hey,
some
I'm just
weird
showing
time
you
things in there, though.
Did they? Well, they cut back and forth between, like, the big guy fight and
then there was
the violin fight.
The violin fight and the big guy fight and some of the travel in between.
Yeah, and the pencil was in that montage, too, I thought.
Yeah, some of that was weird time stuff.
Yeah, which I got that. That was fine, and
I don't know. I thought it was a little weird. I don't know why they did it that way.
I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was a little artistic flourish. I didn't mind it too much.
But you had another.
So the big one is the one that really kind of messed with the movie for me, that I can only talk about talking spoilers. So I probably won't even mention it in my YouTube review. Is he goes to such huge ways in the beginning to try to avoid paying this marker and not killing this woman, but eventually decides I have to go kill this woman because of this marker and obey the rules kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then his whole thing at the end is, I don't care about the rules. I'm just going to kill this guy in the Continental. And I'm like, if you're going to break the rules, just kill the guy when he brings you his marker. Like, it's just like, this whole movie didn't have to happen based on the way he eventually solved his problem. It was like, we could have just skipped the entire movie and you've been on the run.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was weird. Why would he choose to do something he didn't want to do at the beginning? And then, I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me.
That's what I was talking about with the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, how there's John Wick and then there's the Baba Yaga. Mm-hmm. How sometimes the Baba Yaga will actually keep John from doing what he wants. So John wants to retire, but the Baba Yaga is like, I don't care. This guy's gonna die.
It's a force of nature.
He hired me for a job. I did the job. Then he put a bounty on me. It doesn't matter.
After trying to kill you
After
himself.
trying to kill me. Yeah, he tried to kill him. Then he put a bounty on him. So after that, John Wick's like...
After making him kill his friend. Because he says that he was friends with Gianna, I think was her name?
Yeah, he was friends with her. He didn't want to do it. So
why didn't he just not do it? If he is the kind of person who will break the rule, why didn't he just not kill her?
Because he's like, if I do this, I'm out.
So he was hoping that he was going to honor the deal.
Yeah.
So then he gets to be free. But once he burned him, there was no other option.
Well, so if that's his thought process, then why does he kill him in the Continental?
That's the Baba Yaga. That's not John.
Well, but you can't have it both ways, is what I'm saying.
I think you can.
Well, obviously the movie does.
Well, there's also to think about it. He left him with no other option at that point by retreating to the Continental and then taunting him with how
I can live here forever.
Yeah, and then he could just keep assaulting him directly with John Wick knowing where he is and not being able to touch him. It was too much.
Hey, why? Let me ask you this: why couldn't you? And maybe they mentioned this and I miss it. Why couldn't you just drag somebody out of the Continental and kill them? Like, what would keep you from removing them by force?
That's I'm pretty sure doing a job on Continental grounds.
Yeah, probably true. Yeah,
I think probably count that.
Yeah, they probably count that.
Yeah,
I'm just looking for a loophole, man.
Would it?
I'm just looking for a loophole.
Would it count if you throw them out the window?
Well, if you throw them in the window, then apparently if you throw them in the window, then you're officially on Continental grounds. Then. So
that was hilarious.
I like that
when
a lot.
They came rolling through the...
You want a drink? Yeah.
Gin?
Yeah.
Bourbon.
So I think another thing is if he didn't kill him, because I don't think that John Wick had the same resources that the guy did. He couldn't stay at the Continental as well just to, John Wick has to leave because he can't afford to stay at this Continental.
He could probably stay for a good long while, but not forever.
Yeah. So that was another
Plus, as we've seen in the previous film, there's ways around that. You can get other assassins to try to break the Continental rule, and that won't necessarily
impact you. It'll just impact them.
Yeah. So John Wick would not have been safe.
Yeah. Because John Wick can't afford to hire somebody to take out somebody else in the Continental.
Not when he's worth $7 million.
Yeah. So he was left with no choice at that point.
Yeah. No, it just didn't sit right with me. I get that. I like if you're going to, my thing was, man, you could have avoided all this pain. He just killed the guy when he brought his marker.
Yeah.
And then in the same place you ended at.
Then he would have been excommunicated from the thing, but would ideally not have any. Then he could just go to Gianna and be like, hey, your brother tried to get me to kill you.
Right.
I killed him because he was going to kill me. And hopefully she'd be
just seems like the better path to me.
Hopefully she'd just be like, oh, yeah, you're fine. That's cool. No, you're good to go.
But I get it. And maybe the story is telling us that's how he changed over the movie. He's
just ready to...
He's ready to break the rules now, like he wasn't before. So maybe that's part of his character development.
He was definitely annoyed by the rules to start. Because when he went to Ian McShane for the first time...
Oh, for sure.
The guy was like, you have to do this. And he was like, I don't like these rules.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on with the Wick 2?
Well, after he kills him, then he has to meet Ian McShane, so Ian McShane can officially say, in 1 hour, you are excommunicado, and there will be a $14 million bounty on his head now, because I thought they said they were going to double it now, because he killed...
Who knows?
No, it was continentally, meaning the U.S., it was doubled, but now the bounty has gone international. It's worldwide
and
now.
I don't think they mentioned that it was doubled, they just said that it was going to increase. Because the Kimura was now in charge of that.
Yeah.
So Ian McShane didn't put a bounty on him necessarily. He just said that he no longer has protection.
Yeah.
But he did show off his power in a way that overplayed the hand of the world building a bit.
Yeah. How every single person is an assassin now.
There was like 40 people in that square.
There was more than that. There was like 70 or 80 people, and every single one of them.
They're in a public place with a lot of people
Not
who
a
don't know
single one of them.
what's going on, and every single one of them knew what was going on.
They could have all been hired, like some kind of weird flash mob, but
that's the impression I got.
Yeah,
was that Ian McShane, that he had like hired them all to be there to prove a point.
Well, I had assumed that they were hired and assassins. That they all worked with the Continental, not just like some people that he was like, hey, do you want to make $20?
Yeah.
I just need you to stop when I say.
Right. No, I got it. Yeah.
So now they've definitely set up John Wick Chapter 3.
Yeah.
And they've upped the stakes by quadruple now.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to tell you again, and I said this during the podcast proper, I like John Wick when he's after something, not when something's after him. I like that better. So I wish there would be a way to kind of turn that on its head.
I think, he's going to go after the Kimura. He has no other option. He might...
That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see another...
I think that... Just these are my predictions, because Ian McShane gives him back the marker. I'm thinking that he is going to start running, and then it's going to become a hunter becomes the hunted thing, and he's going to start killing his way up the Kimura.
Yeah.
And he's going to eventually run into too much to handle. And, like, the head of the Kimura is going to be there I'm the big bad boss guy, and he's going to give him the marker, and, like, I'm defeated, here's this thing, let me explain this, and it's going to resolve the issue. Like, he made me kill her.
Cool, I don't even have to see John Wick Chapter 3 now. You heard it here first.
Honestly, here's my prediction. I think John Wick's going to die in the third movie. I think he's going to die.
That would be a very fitting resolution.
Yeah. I think that's what's going to happen. The death of the Baba Yaga.
Because he's not a very redeemable character.
No.
Plus, his redemption story has already occurred. You know, he got out and he was clean, and now he's back. Yeah. So him going clean again isn't really very satisfying for us.
I think there's no other way it can end. I think he has to die. And then Ian McShane or the concierge is going to take care of the dog.
Aww. The dog with no name.
Yeah, just dog.
Here's all I know. If you check a flip phone, near me, I'm just going to assume you've been assigned to assassinate me at this point. Like,
Yeah.
that's just-
Especially like everybody on that entire street got that text message.
Yeah.
It could have been a coincidence. Like they were all just like some other person was texting each individual one of them, or everyone in what was that? Was that not Times Square? Central Park. Everyone at Central Park was an assassin.
Yeah.
Well, that part might actually be true.
Now, it's possible that the Continental just sent a text message to literally every human being in New York.
Yeah. Hey.
Just like, hey, if you happen to see this guy and want to make $7 million and
they
are open to killing a
They
guy.
were doing it all on
And are
DOS
open to
computers,
murder.
so...
Yeah. With old-timey like switchboards and stuff.
Yeah, I like
and apparently
that.
you had to look like Rosie the Riveter, with
everybody
tattoos
was
and no
dressed
sleeves.
with it.
I like that. I thought it was pretty cool.
Again, it's the world building thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's an interesting part of what they do. So.
Cool, subtle world building.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's
All right.
John Wick Chapter 2 and Lego Batman.
Yeah. Thanks for sticking through the spoiler cast. We'll come back next week with something new. Is it Logan next week? What's next week?
Oh, good.
If you
No.
don't mind-
Logan's the first week of March. We've still got.
Yeah, if you can give me 2 seconds. Or A Cure for Wellness, that's the big one.
Ooh.
Yeah, A Cure for Wellness is the big one.
I want to see that.
And The Great Wall with Matt Damon.
Oh, Great Wall. We'll
What
do
are they
Great
trying
Wall.
to keep
Oh,
out?
no.
Yeah, we'll do Great Wall.
Matt Damon.
I mean, it's Damon. I mean, that'll be the big movie next weekend.
Okay.
We might do Cure for Wellness too.
Hey.
I don't know.
I would be willing to do both movies because I have to know what that movie's about.
I saw a poster for the Great Wall shortly after it was announced. It's like got Matt Damon in the wall. It's like, what are they trying to keep out?
Yeah.
And there's just ... and then it says Matt Damon down at the bottom.
They're trying to keep out Matt Damon.
like the Great
Hey, I've
Wall.
seen the Bourne movies, man. I get it. I totally understand.
We built this wall for Matt Damon.
That's right.
For Matt Damon.
That's right.
For Matt Damon.